Lord of the Rings. It's been a highly requested topic, much to my chagrin, because I acknowledge its cultural heft, but I just can't get into it. However, for my final GCC East, as a gift to the viewers, I bring you an episode using the power of my One Ring, which will cue the voice of my all-knowing cameraman to correct my sarcasm and errors.
The ring doesn't do that.
Shut up. No, come back, I need you. I'm Dekajlo.
And I'm this mysterious, totally inaccurate ring voice.
And this is Geek Crash Course East. The Lord of the Rings is a high fantasy series written by JRR Tolkien in the 1930s and 40s and is a cornerstone of the fantasy genre. There are 3 books, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King, as well as a prequel book called The Hobbit. This is the extent of my research and knowledge of the Lord of the Rings series, except there were 3 very long movies following The Ring, and there are 3 less good movies that somehow make up The Hobbit. The Hobbit's like 90 pages. I don't know how they made it into 3 movies. First of all, you may be wondering, what's the deal with this ring? Well, there are 3 lesser rings.
There are 19 lesser rings.
There are 19 lesser rings? How am I going to cover all that in this episode? Okay, forget about the other rings. The important part is that there's 1 ring to rule them all. I bet that sounds familiar. The ring gives the wearer major powers, such as becoming invisible by briefly entering the underworld, sort of, controlling the other rings, and ultimately being able to enslave all of the other races. The wearer is intoxicated by its power and doesn't want to part with the ring, becoming more corrupted the longer they wear it. Sauron is the evil guy that forged the 1 ring of stuff.
Of power,
who looks through the big flaming eye at the top of the mountain. He wants the ring back so that he can enslave all of Middle-earth, which is why our main characters want to destroy the ring. Funny story. They can only destroy the ring by throwing it into the volcano that's at Sauron's front door.
We like to call that the fires from whence it came. It's at his front door because he actually forged the ring in that volcano. That's why it's got to go back there.
Well, isn't that convenient? There are many races in the Lord of the Rings series, but our main band of characters are made up of hobbits. Hobbits are tiny little dudes that drink and eat a lot, they're pretty merry, and aren't really cut out for any sort of conflict or adventure. They live in hobbit holes in the hills?
Yeah.
They live in hobbit holes in the hills, and that's all I've got. Your main hobbits are Frodo Baggins.
Frodo Baggins.
He's the guy that carries the ring for most of the movie and the books. There's also Samwise Sam. Sam is Frodo's best friend who carries the ring with him. He's very protective of Frodo, and he's like a really good friend. He helps lighten the load, as it were. Merry and Pippin are Frodo's cousins who go with the trees to help save Middle-earth. The trees?
The Ents?
There's also Bilbo Baggins, who makes a brief cameo in the Lord of the Rings series proper, but he's the main character in The Hobbit. He's the first hobbit to find the ring. Elves are elves, but not the Santa kind, the kind that run around the woods with quivers. They're tall.
Sure, tall.
They're tall people-sized, tall. And they live forever.
They are immortal.
They're immortal, tall people-sized. They live in Rivendell, where they host a council of all the different races to address the fact that the One Ring has been found. This is where our key cast of characters agrees to accompany and defend the hobbits on their journey to destroy the ring after Frodo volunteers to carry it. This group is our titular Fellowship of the Ring. Titular. They also give the hobbits some kind of magical elf bread that makes them full because hobbits can eat a lot, which is really economical when you're basically going on a 1,000,000-mile march to your death. Your main elves are Lego Man, who's an incredible archer. He's got great hair, and he is the best-looking character in the Lord of the Rings series. Arwen is a female elf that's in love with Aragorn, who's the presumed king in Return of the King. Their love is taboo because Aragorn is a man, and elfy human love is a no-no. Also, men don't live forever and elves do, so that sucks. There are, in fact, people, both regular people and wizards, who are still somehow the same thing.
People.
Wizards are not people.
No, different people.
Wizards are not people. Okay, so apparently it's not like Harry Potter, where wizards are people and people are people. People are just people, and then wizards look like people, but are actually another race. Men are just humans, end of explanation. Your major important humans are Aragorn. He's the rightful heir to the throne of some kingdoms, and he leads the armies in the Siege of Mordor to distract the bad guy from killing Frodo and his buddy while they try and destroy the ring. The Steward of Gondor is the sitting king in Gondor while Aragorn is away. Aragorn must battle and reclaim the throne of Gondor in Return of the King. He's the king that returns. JRR Tolkien's full name is John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. As previously mentioned, wizards are their own race. They're magical. That's most of what you need to know. Gandalf the White is the wizard formerly known as Gandalf the Grey. He's a friend to the hobbits, and he sets Frodo on the start of his journey. Because of his background, he knows a lot about the ring, how to destroy it, and his magic helps the Fellowship dodge a few close calls. Saruman the White used to be a good wizard. Now he's bad and he's in cahoots with Sauron, the eye-in-the-sky guy. He and Gandalf have some badass wizard duels. Ents are big trees that are basically like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, except they have a more extensive vocabulary.
Oh, good lord, that is so wrong on so many levels. I can't even tell you how wrong you are.
Good. So Ents are trees. That's all you need to know. Oh, there are also these big bearded guys that look kind of like Hagrid. You know, they like carry hammers and grunt a lot.
What?
Like big guys with beards. Hairy.
Big dwarves?
Are they dwarves?
Yeah, well, dwarves are big with hammers, but I mean, they're not big. They're small.
No, they're like way bigger than hobbits.
No, they're literally the same size as hobbits.
No, they're like huge.
No, they stand shoulder to shoulder with...
Dwarves and hobbits are the same size. Your main dwarf is Gimli. He's kind of just a dwarf. He has an axe, he helps out with fighting. His backstory is pretty important because his father, Gloin, was really important in The Hobbit, but Gimli himself is more of just a sidekick. Gollum is sort of his own race. He used to be a hobbit, but then he found the One Ring and kept it for so long that it turned him into this evil, tortured soul of a creature that can barely function without his constant fix of shiny jewelry. He loses the ring at the start of the trilogy and spends the entirety of the books trying to get it back in one way or another. His intentions aren't always clear. 1 minute, he's helping you, and the next, he's trying to strangle you in your sleep. But he's alright. There are about 15 subplots going on, but the main one is this. A hobbit finds the One Ring, gives it to Frodo, and then we find out it's super evil and has to be cast back into Mount Doom. Mount Doom? Tolkien wrote like 15 languages for this book, and the bad place is called Mount Doom.
Well, okay, he gives it other names. It's got like Orodruin in an old Elvish language, but you know, you can't pronounce that. They call it Mount Doom.
Mount Doom. The main storyline is following the characters, but mainly Frodo as they journey to take the ring to Mordor, where Mount Doom is. Along the way, they have to fight some battles, win over some factions of other races, fight off orcs, goblins, some ugly-ass love child of orcs and goblins, that kind of thing. Also, they try to avoid getting wrecked by things like evil wizards, giant spiders, corrupt rulers, and evil wraiths. Some of the Fellowship have to break off to help fight these threats, and Frodo and Sam eventually have to go off with Gollum on their own to take the ring the final part of the way. There's also quite a bit of internal strife as they make their way across Middle-earth, forging alliances, an entire character coming into his own birthright, but frankly, there's no way I'm gonna have time to cover any of that stuff. I have no idea what the 2 different towers are, and I only know that Aragorn is the king that returns because my cameraman told me so, but that stuff's probably not important. Basically, after 17 hours of movies...
17 hours? Actually, you know, that might be pretty close.
Or 6,000 pages of book, they throw the ring into the volcano and everyone lives happily ever after.
Some of them died!
Except the ones that died. Spoiler alert. Tolkien's hobby was constructing new languages, which came before he wrote the books. He began writing the Lord of the Rings books just to provide a backdrop to 15 languages he had constructed. Don't watch the movies.
Watch the movies.
Look, if I'm not gonna watch the movies, I can in good conscience recommend that they watch the movies. Fine. Watch the movies and read the books. There. I said it. Happy? Get ready to dedicate like 200 hours of your life to these things because the films are long and the books are longer. And there's like 50,000 fan sites with supporting content about all the goings-on of Middle-earth. Or so I've been told. The total runtime of all 3 movies' extended editions is almost 11 hours. On a scale of dwarves or dwarven, 2 dwarves are giants like Hagrid, how badly did I screw up Lord of the Rings? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for our final episode of Geek Crash Course. We've taken this show there and back again. You can always find Geek Crash Course on Twitter, Facebook, and our website, geekcrashcourse.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Geek Crash Course.